You know, Vice, as a Steelers fan, I'd love to see Dak get signed to the Dallas Cowboys again.
Oh, wouldn't
Um,
you love that? Oh, wouldn't you love that?
Because I'd love to have this off-season talk every year about how he's not getting past the first round of the playoffs.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of your favorite couch potatoes. We're back together again. We're whole. Feisty is back from his break. His really much enjoyed break is what I heard.
I don't know about a break, but
Well, you guys ready to get into our sports news around the world?
let's do it.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, let's start with the Conor McGregor and Mike Chandler fight that we talked about a few weeks ago. We're super excited for. UFC's ready to make a fuck ton of money off of it. Well, it's canceled. It is not going to happen. Later this month, on June 29th, they had to. I know we talked about the press conference being canceled, but yeah, now the fight's actually canceled. Have you guys heard anything on why that might be?
Yeah, no, I remember a while back. I think I remember Joe Rogan talking about this on his podcast about how when fighters get injured the way that Conor McGregor did, they take a lot of testosterone. They take a lot of steroids. Like certain types of steroids help your body build back better.
Okay.
And so some fighters in the UFC, when stuff like that happens, they'll take steroids and testosterone boosters and stuff like that to help their body heal faster.
So that's why he's still, or it's canceled. He's still on that. Is he not passing the drug test or whatever?
I'm thinking that he's not passing the drug test. Is kind of what I gathered from that.
Gotcha.
Let me take my shades off real quick, boys. I have to put my reading glasses on.
Oh, wow.
Anyways.
It's not a douche. It's actually feisty under those glasses.
No, from what I've heard, he picked up an injury, so he actually tweeted out something in regards of the what was going on. And he mentioned that he actually picked up an injury during training camp, and so he's trying to work through it and figure out what happened. So I didn't really hear a whole lot on the drug part of it, but I'm pretty like that kind of really connects really well with anyway with the injury situation because if it's taken him, and I think we talked about this before too. It's been like 2 years since that fight, so it's like it's gotta be.
Since who kicked his ass, Feist? Who was that? Do you remember?
Hey,
Yeah, nobody kicked his ass.
they did. The floor did. The floor. The floor. They need to mop that floor, dude.
Well, if you want me to remind you guys of the time before then when Dustin kicked his ass as well, I can. But we were just talking about Connor for now. So
Exactly, but like it's not important because Poirier just got his freaking ass kicked last week. So that's for all the dogs, baby. Uh, and it's just interesting to me because like this is such a injury that's happens to a lot of athletes where it's hard to come back from an injury like this. Like you remember Gordon Hayward, he was on fire, and then his injury happened. Never was the same kind of guy, and so like it's frustrating because people like me who's big Conor McGregor and ride him hard that we want to see that kind of fight. We wanted to see him his charisma again. We wanted to see him at the press conference in Ireland again where they were just shitting on. And so it's just frustrating, but at the same time, hopefully it's nothing too serious and that we can get it back on. And hopefully nobody's scared and using it as an excuse. But Conor McGregor is Conor McGregor. I mean Conor McGregor. So everybody's wife's in BDMs. So
well, that was gonna be my next question. Is what do you guys think after this? This long-awaited fight. It's been so highly anticipated. Like you said, we've been waiting for years, and he's been trying to recover and everything this whole time. And now, Feist, you're saying he's had another injury. Do we see Conor McGregor in the octagon ever again?
I would say we do. I think that they'll end up rescheduling this fight. One way or another, these guys hate each other, right? So it's a good money maker for MMA, and then it's also a good money maker for both of them. Maybe this is how they finish out, because I don't see him going on another run to go after a
No.
title belt, you know. So this would be like a one fight and finish it all kind of thing. So in my opinion, I think that there will be another fight scheduled, and I think we do see him, but I think that'll probably be either his last fight or one of his last fight. I don't think he goes past one or two more fights. So especially if it's taking him this long to heal. So
Right, right.
Yeah, I agree too. I think that his age is starting to catch up to him. Plus, the UFC's kind of like his third income now. So
yeah,
he made a lot of money from his whiskey that he made. I can't remember his other business, but yeah, I know his whiskey took off, and then he sold to that company and made billions of dollars off of it. So UFC is just kind of something that he does for fun. I feel like so.
Yeah, not as motivating when you got those other things that you're super successful at. There's not as much,
Right.
probably desire to make it back from those injuries and stuff. But
for
yeah,
sure.
I agree. Like you probably will see him maybe one, two more times. His title, runs or anything near that is obviously over. He's been out for so long, and there's too many guys in their prime right now for him to make a comeback. But speaking of a fighter in their prime, let's switch over to boxing. I don't know if you guys caught the fight last night or caught some clips, but good old Gervonta Tank Davis, he does what he always does, and he won yet another boxing match, defending his lightweight title. And man, it was just kind of filthy. He got Frank Martin with a uppercut that really stunned him, a left uppercut, and then he just hit him with the left hook to send him straight to the ground, and there was no chance of old Frankie getting back up from that one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like the biggest. I don't consume boxing as much as I consume like the UFC or stuff like that. But I have heard Tank's name. I know that
Yeah,
Tank's like the top of boxing right now, and it doesn't surprise me at all that he's continuing to defend this light heavyweight title. Yeah,
And to me, what's interesting is he kind of reminds you of that Floyd Mayweather run that Floyd went on, and I know Floyd's always in his corner, so he's learning from the best. And obviously I like Tank, and I think that he's going to continue on to dominate it probably for another few more years. And then he's probably going to do what Money Mayweather did and get his money and freaking do a few more fights where it's like something small. So I'm excited for it, and good for him. I mean, continue to knock people out. I really like that fight. So, and especially where he ends up getting people, it's almost like he catches him off guard, sets him up, boom. Next thing you
yeah.
know, hook or whatever, or, uppercut. Like he's so agile, and I love it. So good for him. Continue dominating. And I want to see another Mayweather. So
Hell yeah. I didn't know that about Mayweather. You said so he's like in his camp or whatever, like he helps Tank Davis or whatever.
yeah, so he usually he's usually always in his like in his corner on like when there's fights going on. And then he also kind of helps him train a little bit too. So that's cool. That's what's interesting to me is he kind of reminds me of that like small guy where he's very dominant, and he's really good on defensively, and so that's what sets him up on his offense game. Um,
Just
and I
like
think he's
Floyd.
yeah, and he's learning that from the best, one of the best. So
Hell yeah. Just wear him out, man. That's like why when Floyd and Connor fought, like I remember saying, like, I know Floyd's gonna win this fight, one because it's a different sport,
right,
than UFC, but yeah, but Connor fought well, but he just obviously got tired more towards the end of that fight, and Floyd ends up finishing off, like you said, like Tank's doing, like how he always does. So yeah, I think that you both are right. Tank's on a run right now. He's in the prime of his career, and it's so funny because yeah, I'm Wes. I'm more of your boat where like I don't consume it as high level. Feisty, you're a little more knowledgeable on that, but I feel like those press conferences too with Tank Davis are always like that Conor McGregor kind of press conference.
Entertaining.
There's very entertaining. There's always something that happens, shoving, fighting, words said, and people talking shit on Tank Davis, and then Tank Davis shuts him up in the ring every time.
Yep.
So it's it'll be fun to watch, even if we're not as like into it. But let's move on to, I know everybody's favorite segment, which is can Feist pronounce that name? So Feist, let's see what you got for us today.
This is gonna be funny. All right, so let's get it going, baby. So Joey Chestnut, if some of you guys don't know who he is the 16-time hot dog champion,
I think it's 14.
hot dog eating champ, or 14?
Or is it
Yeah,
16?
14 or 16. I'm not
Somewhere around there,
100%. Yeah, so he's the defending champion for like the last 14 or 16 years. And he's actually been dropped off of the hot dog eating contest, 4th of July event they do. And so he actually they put together this event on Netflix where he's going to be facing Takeru Kabashi.
I don't think that was too bad. I think you forgot a Kobayashi. There's a
Kobayashi
in there. Kobayashi, and maybe it's Takeru or Takaru or something.
It's definitely the best I've ever heard you pronounce a name, though.
Boom, baby.
Sorry, fans, but that was actually pretty good for Vice.
I practiced it over and over. I'm like, I can't do this. I'm gonna be made fun of again, as always. Hey, what's my slogan? English not very good.
Not very good. Oh,
So
man, that's funny. Well,
it's gonna be awesome. What do you guys think about that? Like, what's been going on with his the background story and stuff? Like, yeah, I mean, let me hear you. Sound off on this one.
Well, we kind of talked about it last week, and because this was when we just found out that he was banned from the Nathan's hot dog eating contest because he signed with the rival hot dog brand. So to me, it seems like, because now that Netflix is hopping on board, I mean they're getting more into the live sports, as we've seen. They got the Christmas games, and then they did the Tom Brady roast. So I think Joey Chestnut just followed the money. Personally, I think that's all that he did. He's probably going to make a lot more money with Netflix than he would from Nathan. So it sucks because it's like a tradition, but at the same time, I don't know that I can blame him too much, because it's probably not like he was making a crap ton of money, and Netflix is probably going to pay him more and make it maybe more entertaining than the fans, since they got more resources that way.
Right.
No, I mean, I mean, what is I mean, this isn't like top name news or nothing, but Chestnut is already a 14 to 16 time champion. Like, what else does he have to prove there? Go get your money.
That's a good point. Good point. Yeah, it's not like he's going out there for records or accolades anymore. I mean, what more can he do? It's kind of like how Floyd Mayweather towards the end of his career, right, was just because he fought Conor and then Logan Paul or whatever towards the end of his career. It was celebrity kind of stuff instead. So kind of that's a great point, Wes. So all right,
let me add on to that too, just real quick. I think it's interesting because Netflix is trying to get into that sports world, like that live, which is so interesting to me because you would think they're just a live streaming platform, but they're trying to get into the NCAA football. They're trying to get into the NBA. They've already got football for the Christmas game. So it's so interesting to me because you go to Netflix for everything, and so now that we have this back and forth type of thing with streaming services trying to fight for streaming, Netflix is just doing something different, and this is an American tradition. USA. And so it's just it's kind of cool to see that they're going to be part of it, and that they're not necessarily cool, but good for them to pick up on this and say, hey, this is an opportunity to make some really good money and get viewership more and more. And so it's just going to be a battle throughout this whole streaming services, and Netflix is already ahead. So
it just sucks because Wesley's broke ass doesn't have Netflix. He can't watch it.
Hey, hey, I have Netflix now. I actually
Are
do.
you
Oh, you got
American?
it. Nice.
Yeah. Along with every other fucking streaming service you can buy.
My guy said, if I'm gonna sign up for one, sign me up for all of them.
Well, you have to. That's what we talked about that one time, right? You got now when we looked at the NFL schedule release and stuff. You gotta have access to like 14 different fucking streaming
Hmm.
services or channels or whatever. So it's like,
Right.
that's the way the world's going these days, ain't it? So, but yeah, that'll be fun to watch. Now that we all have Netflix, whenever that happens, we can all react to it. Maybe we can live stream it and live react to it because it's going to be a big, big thing. No, I'm just kidding. Let's move on. Let's go into the WNBA because just this morning before we recorded this podcast, our girls, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, went head to head in a hard fought victory, kind of a classic battle, one of the early ones that we've been talking about. But the Fever come away with the win in this one, and I just wanted to list off some stats for you guys. So it was a good game for both Caitlin and Angel Reese. Caitlin almost had a triple double. She had 23 points on 7 for 11 shooting from the field, 6 for 6 from the line, and with 8 rebounds and 9 assists. And then Angel Reese dropped 11, 13, and 5. And so, yeah, it was a crazy back and forth battle. And we definitely had some drama from it, like we kind of were expecting when we talked about it, when we talked about the draft and everything back then. Because, yeah, Angel Reese actually got a flagrant one foul, just swiped across and just nailed Caitlin in the head. Now, it was flagrant one, and I like that call because I didn't see malicious intent. It wasn't like the kind of things that we've been talking about, where people are trying to bully Caitlin a little bit and show her who's boss or who runs the league or whatever. It was contact to the head, so I like the flagrant one foul, but I didn't see anything too crazy. What do you guys think about that foul and the game overall?
No, I mean, I think that this is definitely shaping up to be the rivalry that everybody thought it was going to be, and that it needed to be. And I think that it's definitely skyrocketing the WNBA, and how we all predicted it would. I mean, it's a very fun rivalry to watch. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Especially through the press conferences and all that stuff. I mean, it's fun to watch. Um, yeah, I mean, Caitlin Clark goes out and does her thing. Angel Reese comes back, and the flagrant didn't seem like it was intentional at all, like you were saying. Um, it looked like she was just going up for the block and missed, and caught Caitlin across the head. Nothing intentional, nothing malicious about it. So
Yeah.
Well, and like the thing too is you've noticed that at least once a month or once every couple of weeks, we're always talking about this rivalry. So that's what it's doing. It's the beginning of Magic versus Bird, right? So I love this. I think, like I've said it before, I've been a huge supporter of it where it's going to continue to grow the women's league and that it's going to continue to show that they can get viewership because stuff like this is happening where you have two players. I don't think they necessarily hate each other, but they don't like each other, and they know it's good for the league. At least I
Yeah.
think that's kind of my mindset is they know it's good for the league, and somebody's got to do it. Like you have Sue Bird who was dominating this league for so long, but you know her because of she's been dominating. She doesn't have a rival, and so
Yeah.
it's just so interesting to me, and I love it. I think it continues to grow the game. Now the Angel Reese thing, where I think she kind of keeps putting herself out there, where she's like, "Don't put me as a bad guy. Oh, you guys want me to be the bad guy? I am gonna be the bad guy." That's kind of like what irritates me a little bit. And I'm a big supporter of Angel Reese. I think what she's doing is amazing. She's being a role model to a lot of young athletes, whether black, white, whatever. Like the background don't matter. She's being
Mhm.
a great role model and showing that women can do some incredible things. And same thing for Caitlin. She's insane. I can't wait until the All-Star game where they're probably gonna have Sabrina and her and then Damon and Steph together. Like if
Yeah.
that happens, that's a huge exposure, and especially if they win it. Oh man, that would be amazing to
right?
see. So that they're breaking barriers, and I love to see it. Let's just try to keep it clean where it doesn't get personal. I think that's where it is. Magic and Bird knew what was going on, but they never made it personal to an extent. And so that's just my thing is try not to get it too personal and continue to grow the game. Do what you got to do, man. There's a reason why everybody hates LeBron because what he's been able to do what he's been able to do for the league and for how young he came in. And so this is just the beginning of an amazing rivalry for me. So
Yeah. Well, speaking of getting personal and stuff, or not getting personal, like you're saying, I don't know. If Angel Reese is quiet on that. I watched a little bit of her post game, and she said some people get a very special whistle, and then I think we kind of know who she's referring to there. I don't know what you guys think about that, but then she also went out. She was going at the media and the refs, like in her whole post game interview. It was just like you guys can't bring us down, take us down, kind of like you're talking about, like earlier, where she was always saying like you guys can make me the villain. Oh, I don't want to be the villain, but I'm gonna be the villain or whatever. And then she was going after the officials a lot. So yeah, a little bit of drama from Angel Reese's side. I think she's not afraid to speak her mind and get personal, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Angel Reese saying all that stuff in the post game interview stuff, and I mean, I've heard players talk about some people getting the special whistle, you know,
Yep.
like LeBron or
Yeah, like
sometimes Kobe
crybaby
talk about
LeBron,
it.
huh,
Yeah.
Feist? He always gets all the
hey,
whistles.
hey,
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 I just
let's
gotta
not
say,
get
I was like,
personable.
look,
Let's not get personal, guys.
for some reason, Feist had to tie it in with LeBron. I don't know
I
how he
will
did
I
it.
will
Yeah,
come for
all of
you.
a sudden we're talking about the WNBA, we're talking about Magic Bird, and LeBron pops in there
Yeah.
somehow.
I will come for you. Don't get personal with LeBron. Oh man, no, I mean she seems like to an extent, right? I honestly do think she is getting bullied, right? But sometimes there is certain calls that I think she's getting because she's getting the LeBron treatment, um, and just because she's making a big impact on this game and the viewership. You want to see your star player start of the league to get treated a little bit differently. Now, let's not go to LeBron, okay, guys? That's not okay. Unless we're saying good things, we don't say bad things about LeBron on this show. Um,
Can't say anything
but
about bad about Feist's daddy Braun, isn't that
yep,
right?
I will till I die, baby. But at the same time, like that's what I'm saying is she kind of deserves that star treatment. So continue to treat her a little bit different, but at the same time, don't make it obvious. Where I think Angel Reese is kind of complaining a little bit, to an extent, but let's not make it personal where she's constantly getting it and everybody's noticing, and that's kind of what people have noticed with LeBron is like he gets it every time, and I don't want
Well,
it to be turning into that. So
yeah, and I don't think Caitlin's like asking for it too. Like she doesn't seem like the player that really even likes the like spotlight, at least especially when she's come to the WNBA. Like I feel like she's not doing any crazy stuff. She's all about her business. She goes out, tries to do, her best, and I even see like it's kind of weird to see videos with her like team and stuff where they're doing like their pregame rituals and they're like dancing or doing their thing, hyping each other up, and Caitlin's just like straight face, like no emotion, like just kind of that like Kobe mentality where she's just ready to go out and kill, you know what I mean? So I don't
right,
think she's like asking for that, and I don't know that like you should have special treatment or whatever, but like I just don't think like I think it's gone where I would like counter what you said, Feist, is I think it's just gone the opposite where just like we've talked about before, people are hating her for just being basically as good as she is and bringing so much to their sport and
yeah.
making it grow. That's where I kind of see like that kind of stuff going on. I don't think Caitlyn wants her is acting like she's hot shit and she's the reason that you know everything's better for everybody or anything. Like there was that video when she was on the plane, like when they got charter flights or whatever. Obviously, she's the reason for that, and she was the only one that didn't look excited to be on the charter flight. Like she
Right.
wasn't acting like it was a big deal. So that's just kind of my opinion on that
I
matter
will
right
say
there.
though, like to counter on that, like I will say though, she does have that like mentality of like a killer mentality. So like I've seen where there was a foul that was called on one of the players that she was going against, and she mocked her. So the player mocked her, and Caitlyn was like she's done that where she kind of like goes out at people, and I feel like she kind of has that mentality of like the Kobe, the killer mentality. I'm not gonna say anything, but I will kill you in silence. And then once in a while, you do see her. At least I have seen her kind of complain a little bit on certain calls or certain players making like those kind of stuff. And then I've also given her respect, especially last week where she handled that news so well of not making the Team USA. I actually, especially for her to come back and say, "Hey, I have no hard feelings. That's one of the hardest teams to ever make it." I like her respect for me grew up big time on that, and so it's just I think regardless of what happens, the star player is going to get treated differently, and Kaylin's one of those star player or is the star players, and so she's going to be treated just a little bit different. And I just don't want it to be where it's obvious and you're noticing it, and you don't want it to be where it's Luca and he's
Yeah.
at the ref's throat and he has to apologize to the team because he's just that guy. So that's my thing is don't make it where it's like too far and you're noticing it every game.
Yeah, whatever you do, don't be Luka Doncic, please. We one of those is enough for the world. You have anything to add on that, Wesley?
No, I mean, I was just gonna say, like, real quick, everybody's talking about how the league is roughing Caitlyn up, and everybody seems like they're attacking her and all this other stuff on the court and media stuff in that way. I feel and this is kind of like the opposite side of that. All the players that were already there and trying to build the league into something, they're making sure that Caitlyn has to earn it.
Yeah,
I mean, she can't just walk into the league and be the superstar that everybody knows that she is. Like, everybody knows that this is why the WNBA's grown like that. But I think the league just wants her to know that you have to earn it. You're not just going to give it to. We're not just going to give you the superstardom that everybody thinks you deserve just because you walked on the court. You know what I mean? So.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely that's a great point. And then I just wanted to add because I know I gave Caitlin her like stats and kind of her flowers there. So before we finish this up, Angel Reese had a monster game too. She dropped 11 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists, kind of along her averages, a little bit higher on her assists. I think she was a leading assister for her team. So both of these women were. Angel Reese, she's averaging 12 and 10 this season with 1.8 steals as well. So, like, she's definitely, I think, doing a lot better. I mean, she was like we talked about, seventh pick, but she's showing that, like, she belongs and stuff and maybe should have got drafted higher. But yeah, I did want to say I was a little surprised. I don't know if you guys thought about that because I always thought about her as a very great defensive, big type of player. She's only has one block on the entire season. I was thinking she was averaging like 2 or 3 blocks a game, but she has one block on the entire season.
wow.
But yeah,
That's I think that's because majority of what they're using her because they already have that other girl they drafted who's another big, and I think she plays like the 4 or the 3. And I don't think she needs to do as much as like she was doing in college. Now she just is kind of rolling with whatever the team plan is, and so. But her stairs are up because how lengthy she is. She's able to like let people go, and then boom, ends up stealing the ball, like intercepting the ball or whatever. So the part that I'm kind of like curious is the points. I think the points are a little bit lower on the lower end. I knew she was going to get bored, but so
yeah. That's what I was thinking about Caitlin too. And I looked up her averages. She's only averaging 15.6 points per game right now, and then
wow,
4.9 rebounds, 6 assists. So that kind of makes sense. But I think, like you're saying, those are definitely going to go up because I know that Caitlin's had some like struggle games for
yeah,
sure. But what we are seeing, I think, I know this isn't their first battle. They had one. I think the Sky got the win in that one earlier this season. So, but I think it's looking like that classic rivalry that we were expecting. So, I'm excited to see how that goes forward, and hopefully, we get to see them in some finals and some playoff matchups, and see if kind of does really turn into that bigger Magic and Bird kind of rivalry,
Can only hope, that's for sure.
right? Well, let's move on to the NFL, boys. I've been really, really excited to talk about this. I just actually finished watching the whole thing this morning, but as a lot of people probably know, Tom Brady was officially inducted into the Patriots Hall of Fame this past Wednesday. He got his jersey retired, and he becomes the first ever player that's going to get a statue outside of Gillette Stadium and the Patriots Hall of Fame. So, yeah, I mean, obviously that's no surprise or anything. I know to you guys it's probably like, yeah, okay, yeah, makes sense. But to me, it's just like really exciting. And it was really cool to see him and all his former teammates and stuff and coaches and everything talk about what he meant to them, and really cool to like compare the eras, because he was, he came in where the Patriots defense was already super established. They had Willie McGinnis, Teddy Bruschi, Richard Seymour, Ty Law, Rodney Harrison, like all these, Lawyer Malloy, just like a crazy good defense. And they had Drew Bledsoe, who just got the biggest quarterback deal at the time and stuff. And obviously, we all know about the 6th-round pick coming in and everything. But it was really cool to see like the old talk about how they like brought Tom Brady into the league and like were rough on him and talked shit and hit him hard and gave him stuff, but he took it all. And then it was cool to see like the new generation as well, the one that I grew up watching, the Devin McCourtys, Patrick Chung's, Julian Edelman's, and stuff like that. And then Bill Belichick and Tom Brady laughed, hugged, and stuff when Bill was talking about him. And I know all Patriots fans love to see that. But I'll end it like with this. At least my thoughts, kind of, is my favorite quote from Tom was when he was talking to Bill Belichick. There's a couple of them. My favorite one was, "It wasn't me, it wasn't you, it was us." And then he said, "Let me make this crystal clear. There is no coach in the world I would rather play for than Bill Belichick." So I'll kind of like turn it to you guys now, but yeah, I think that was just really cool because that was the whole thing for everybody. I know, like Wesley, me and you would always have arguments about, oh, and this was years and years and years ago. Like we've been friends for a while, but it's like Brady's more of a system quarterback. He wouldn't be who he is without Bill Belichick. But it wasn't just you. Lots of people were on Bill's side. Lots of people are on Tom Brady's side. Like Bill wouldn't. Now I feel like more than ever, more people are on Tom's side. Where it's like Bill wouldn't have won anything without Tom Brady. But I love to hear that from Tom Brady. It was us. It wasn't me. It wasn't you. We're the greatest at what we do, and we wouldn't have been able to do it without each other.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously, everybody knew this was going to happen. Tom Brady getting retired, getting his jersey retired, and Gillette Stadium. It's all. Everybody knew this was coming, and you're right. We did have the arguments about how you were saying it was only Tom Brady. It was only Tom Brady, and I would be
I
like,
never
no, it's
said it
only
was
Bill
only
Belichick.
Tom Brady. Don't put
I
those
don't know.
fucking words in my
I don't
mouth.
know. I
Don't
don't
I said
know.
you were always, it was Belichick, and I'm like, no, it's Brady too. It's Brady too. They're the greatest, both coach and quarterback.
Dude, you
But
always said that.
yeah. No, I mean yeah, we did have our little things, and like if Tom Brady was actually the GOAT when he was still in New England, we were talked about like who could pass him, or this new generation that's coming in, stuff like that, and that's that's who Brady is to me. Is who is like everybody needs to compare themselves and try to mold themselves to be like Brady,
Yeah.
to whereas they can get the 7 Super Bowls and get to the top where Tom Brady has now made the mountain that much higher to climb to perform and you know be the best in the NFL. He set the bar really high there, and I'm definitely not surprised that um, his numbers going up in Gillette. And isn't he's the only guy that has a retired jersey in New England, right?
No, they did say he's like I think the eighth, but it's like the first person in like 26 years or something. So,
Wow.
Gotcha.
like, it's been a long, long time. So there was just early guys that got their jersey retired, but he is the first that will have a statue. There aren't any player statues, so that's definitely fitting for him to be the first there. And yeah, and nobody ever wear that number 12 again. So
Yeah. See, and that's what's crazy to me is, I mean, building statues of somebody that's still alive too. You don't
yeah,
usually see,
right.
you don't really see statues of people being built that are alive. You see the legends that die get their statues in front of stadiums and stuff like that. So, I
Yeah.
mean, not
You got to be really
I
special
don't
when you
like.
do, right?
I'm not trying to sound like a Tom Brady dick rider, but it's just it's hard to deny what he's done, and yeah, not surprised at all to see what they're doing for him in New England.
I didn't think you
Less.
sounded like that at all, but is it just your like Steelers fandom just like eating alive at you to talk about how awesome Tom Brady is?
It's really hard to do, so I hope he does.
Wes, two is better than one. You could always rhyme. Man, for me, it's like not the interesting, the what's crazy is how quick it happened, right? Like you see players that retire, and then it takes them like 5, 10 years to get their jerseys retired or to even get any kind of Hall of Fame recognition. To see it happen that quick, that's what's crazy to me. And then Tom Brady's Tom Brady, dude. He definitely made that mountain hard to climb, and I don't think anybody's going to be able to reach it. Something that I caught that was interesting is Kyle a Patriots fan because he just named every single person that you can name that played with Tom Brady, and like that was nuts.
I don't know if he's a real fan, Feist. I don't know if he's a
Dude,
fan or not.
that was
Yeah.
nuts. This dude just goes, yeah, it was Blake, it was James, it was Tyler, it was Mike. Yeah, and then
Hey, can't call
also,
me a bandwagon, man. Can't call me a bandwagon. That was the thing too, is that it was really cool to see because Tom Brady is the reason that I fell in love with football. Like
yeah,
that's a sole thing. Like the first game I watched was the second Super Bowl against the Giants in 2011 when they lost, and I picked them before the game, and then I got more into it the next season and stuff, and obviously I happened to pick pretty well, but no, just Tom Brady's competitiveness. That's something that I always like. You guys both know, and I've gotten plenty of fights with you playing whatever sport. Just how like I related to that and just how competitive I am and stuff like that. So it was really cool to see it because yeah, he's definitely the reason that I fell in love with football. So
Yeah, I mean, you definitely had some pretty close fights when we played basketball.
Fives is telling me
I
I
think
was
I've
short
had,
and before, and
dude, I think I've had the most fights with Kyle over sports, dude. The worst one was when I had to pick between my girlfriend and my best friend. That was not fun. At the time, she was my
like
girlfriend, my wife now.
a senior freaking. Hey, look, Feist made the joke or the mistake too, Wes. Just like a little throwback from last week. No, I'm just kidding. But no, yeah, that was what you're speaking of with your wife. Yeah, that was a stupid. What was it? Ultimate Frisbee game and like the
Yes.
senior sunset thing for high
Yep.
school. Like nothing, and didn't matter at all. Wasn't there? No, I don't even know if anybody was really taking score, but. Yeah, of course, me and Brooklyn got into it. The two most
And she's
competitive
very competitive
people that
too.
we know. Yep.
And so, two competitive people going for the same frisbee, not a good idea.
Not a good idea.
And neither of them can control it either. So it's like, man, am I here right now? But you are right. You do take that competitive edge from him. I mean, to go back to it too, like Tom Brady's the GOAT for a reason. Like there's arguments in sports, in a lot of sports, who the GOAT is. But in the NFL, there's one GOAT.
Right.
So
There's
TB12,
one thing to chase.
let's go, baby.
Let's
Hey,
go.
Dak will eventually get there.
Oh yeah, of course.
Not on the Cowboys, though. I'll tell you that.
Yep. He'll be the one to usurp. Yeah. No.
Feist,
Yeah,
I can't even look at you after saying that, Feist. I can't do it.
I had a gun on my head, bro. It wasn't serious.
Oh my God.
I hate that guy.
Well, I can tell you're itching to talk about that, but before we get there, let's talk about some other news in the NFL. So wanted to follow up with kind of just more Chiefs news. I mean, they have to find a way to stay in the news cycle because they're the defending champions. Nobody's really interested in their off-season program and who they're signing and stuff. It's all like we already know the Chiefs are going to be the Chiefs, but man, the off the field stuff, they just want to, I don't know, set records or something this year. But so Isaiah Buggs, so I don't know if we mentioned it, but I think we talked about it when we were talking about Rashee Rice and stuff, that there was just other players. But he got arrested in May for second degree animal cruelty. So he
Wow.
got off on that. Being arrested, that must be something that you never want to do again, right? If you do ever get arrested.
Like
Well,
Victim
not
too.
not this guy. Not this guy. He goes for 2 months, and he got arrested for domestic violence and burglary. Now, obviously, that's not something to laugh about, but like what we're laughing about is just like it's like we talked about Rashee Rice. Like, why why do you have to do such, I don't know, idiotic things like what when you have, I don't know, we've talked about it on and on and on with like Rasheed Rights, but yeah, now we got Isaiah Buggs just with multiple offenses and stuff. So you guys have any thoughts on that?
No, I mean it's the same. It's in the same boat as Rasheed Rice. I mean, you're out here making millions of dollars. Why do you gotta? I mean, what? I mean, do they know? I guess. Did you read anything about the animal cruelty? Like, what was he doing to them?
They were like severely malnourished, so I don't think he like abused them. It was more like neglect and stuff,
Uh
like
huh.
an intentional, like knowledgeable neglect, like he intentionally did it. So
Gotcha. Gotcha.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it's insane that these guys are out here making millions and millions of dollars, and then they do these stupid things. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Um, domestic violence and burglary, like that's like why? Like what? I mean, why for any of it? Why are you doing any of it? You know what I mean? Your lives are top tier. You're playing a sport for money. You know what I
yeah.
mean? That's every little kid's dream in in America and in the world. I mean it's every kid's dream to be able to play a sport and make as much money as you do, and then you come out and you do stupid stuff like this. It's insane to me.
Yeah, I couldn't
Yeah.
agree with both of you guys more. I think they're just trying to keep this segment going for us. So, um, and I don't
Seriously.
want to keep talking about it just because it's like, what do you need to go do burglary for? Like, what do you need to steal? Like, you already have everything. Well, what more do you need? And so, hopefully, he kind of gets the help that he needs. We always talk about that. People just getting the help. That's the serious part of ours. Like, we just want people to be the best that they can. Like, we don't get the opportunity to go play football every night or every week and make millions of dollars. We work
Yeah.
a 9 to 5 job. We do things that we need to do, and so it's like I'm not gonna go out and try to steal from a different company because my job's not satisfying. If it's not satisfying, go figure out to do something else because I would love to get paid millions of dollars just to thousands of dollars just to play football. So that's
Right.
that's just yeah another just segment that just needs to like we don't need it in there, but it just keeps it interesting. So and it's always the
Yeah.
Chiefs.
Right? It's like the Patriots back in the day with like I feel like I don't know when you get those like when you get just so successful, but I feel like the Patriots weren't as bad, but obviously Aaron Hernandez and all that stuff happened. They talked about that in that dynasty doc, just the off the field stuff. Theirs was more, like the cheating, the Spygate, Deflategate, all that stuff. But then Aaron Hernandez was in there, and obviously that was a whole different thing. But like I don't know, when you're at the top, it's like I don't know when you get that success. I don't get it, but I don't
You're
know
itching
how
to
well
fail.
he'll do after because I know he's been around the league. Like he played for the Steelers for a few seasons, and then the Lions the last two, and then he was like a practice squad like fringe, 53 man
Hmm.
player. So I don't know. This might be it for him. You know what I mean? Which is tragic. Like that's what kind of sucks is when, especially when you're that kind of player. But even when you're, a higher level player, like we've had plenty of those in the NFL, NBA too, that just do that to your career. When it's like, why? What is your motive and stuff? And even like with the dogs, like don't get me started on animal cruelty. I know like we're all animal people and stuff, and it's a little different. But like, you're rich enough that hiring someone to take care of your dogs is nothing, right? Like, it's just there's something wrong with those kind of people, I guess. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts about it. Don't need to get too far on that, but
Well, I mean, to go back to you talking about teams cheating, Patriots.
Who? Who?
The
sorry, you must have cut out there
Falcons.
for a second.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
he said the Patriots. They cheated.
yeah. The guys
Oh,
that do it never want to hear what they did. So
Yeah, that is true.
I
It's
heard the
hard.
I heard the Falcons. Did you say the Falcons?
okay, so we'll give the Patriots skeeting or scandals the rest for now, but the Falcons forfeit a 2025 fifth-round pick and pay $250,000 in fines for violating NFL anti-tampering policy.
Jeez.
The reason why this happened is because they had improper contact with Kirk Cousins, Darnell Mooney, and Charlie Warner during the 2 day negotiation period that they have before free agency signing day. So basically, the agents of the players and the teams can talk to each other, but the teams themselves cannot talk to the players. And the teams themselves in that 2 day negotiation period talk to the players, and yeah. So I mean, they're losing a lot of money by doing this. So.
And is it worth it, especially since they drafted another quarterback? That was the most confusing thing ever.
Yeah.
So, like, that's a lot of money to lose, and then to forfeit, like, draft picks is never good. Because that's your future that you're playing with, whether it's a fourth round, fifth round, seventh round. Like, those guys could turn out to be the greatest, the GOAT himself,
Sixth
sixth
round.
round. So, to me, I don't know if it was worth it. I think they were trying to get a head start, and then when they end up drafting another quarterback, this whole franchise is just not making sense to me. Like, I don't know who's in charge or who's making these calls, but
They're getting desperate, bro. They're getting desperate.
Seriously, like, what are they doing?
I know their owner is kind of like that desperate kind of guy. Is it Art? No, Art Rooney's the Arthur. No, not Arthur Smith. I think it's an Arthur, but I know who he, and he's like that. Yeah, kind of like desperate kind of a guy. And I don't understand because I feel like every NFL offseason there's at least one team, if not multiple teams, that get this kind of punishment.
Yeah,
That are just like, I don't care about I feel like they know the rules and they don't care. And they almost know that they're gonna get fined and stuff, and picks taken away. But like, you feel like, so yeah, obviously Kirk Cousins was a big deal, but I feel like there wasn't any other team. I don't know. I didn't hear about any other team for Kirk Cousins like that was in the mix. I heard that the Vikings obviously wanted him, but they weren't going to be able to pay him because they had Justin Jefferson, to pay.
yeah.
And I don't know. Did you guys hear about anybody else going after Kirk Cousins? Like, I feel
I
like it
think
was
the
pretty solidified
New
to the
Orleans. I
Falcons.
think the New Orleans kind of were interested in him just so they can get rid of their favorite guy. Not gonna say his name because it's a trigger for Kyle.
Derek
Um,
Carr.
he said it.
Dude,
There's that.
don't tell Hunter that. I didn't know. Imagine if they could have had Kirk Cousins and they're gonna stick with Derek Carr for another season. And he likes Jameis Winston and they let him go to Cleveland. So things are looking
Yeah,
up for the New Orleans Saints. I mean, the Bucks just have Baker Mayfield. We've already talked about how we think he's actually really good, and I don't know. Maybe the Panthers figure something out, and Bryce Young actually looks good, and the Saints just keep on marching down, down, down the worst division in football.
Oh man, let it go, man. I don't know why you hate him so much. I told you it was a
I
hot
know.
button, people. It's just ready to be pushed, and I just had to push it. But
Tell
that's
me
still a
anything I
team.
said that was wrong. That's all I'm
Everything.
saying.
I
Tell me
like
anything
Derek
that
Carr.
was wrong.
Oh man,
I don't
that's
think they're
funny.
winning the division this year. That's for sure.
No,
If you
that's
guys
for
want to
sure.
put some money on it, I'll put some money
The
on that.
Falcons aren't
Faisty.
either,
You're
so I'll
talking
tell you
about
that.
it, so
Hey, the Falcons aren't either. Let's stay. If we stay on topic on this one, the Falcons I think are still confused on what they're doing. So, and we can have that other
wow,
side
what a shot!
conversation of the Derek
What a
Carr.
shot from Feist. He said, "Shut the
Yeah,
fuck up, Kyle.
it
Stick to
just
the
doesn't
script.
make sense.
Stick to
It
the
just
script."
no, I'm just playing. It just doesn't make sense to me. Like I think that's why I kind of want to get back to it, is like it doesn't make sense to me trying to like figure out why they're doing what they're doing, right? Like you pick up a quarterback, you give him a big contract, but hey, let's draft your future quarterback. That made no sense to me. And I know you hate Derek Carr, but like it definitely would have been an upgrade for
Yeah.
whoever else wanted to get him. And so there was just so many good quarterbacks in the draft this year that I think the team that wanted to get him got him, and now they're just confused on what they're doing. So
Yeah.
sorry, I didn't mean to throw you back in there. But I just
I don't
wanted to
think
say
New
that
Orleans.
I hate the Falcons. I don't
don't
know
think.
why.
I don't think New Orleans could have paid Kirk Cousins what the Falcons did because I think New Orleans is almost
Oh,
20 mil over the cap space.
that's a good point.
Probably.
Yeah, they've been fucked with money for a long time. They're like always the worst in like cap space and stuff. So great. Yeah, good point. Must suck to be a New Orleans Saint fan, man. I can't imagine.
Well,
I cannot
and
imagine.
to like segment off of that too, let's talk about somebody who did get paid.
Mm.
So Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars agreed on a 5-year, $275 million extension, which has 200
Million.
million guaranteed, and then 142 at the signing, so 142 of it at the signing event. So my guy secured the bag. Long hair Trevor Lawrence. What in the heck? What's going on here, boys?
Well, you're telling me that. So that kind of tells me that I guess there's not going to be a quarterback competition down there in Jacksonville. Mac Jones has no shot at the starting QB
He
job.
never did. They actually
Yeah.
got him. They got him in so he can try out for the cheerleading team. I don't know if you saw the
Hey,
videos.
if there's a quarterback that I like less than Derek Carr, it might be Mac Jones. So.
Ooh, here's the other hot button.
Oh my gosh, no, that is surprising. I know we were talking about it, like we were talking about Tua last week, especially with these deals. $275 for a guy. It's funny, on those like NFL meme pages that are always popping off. They showed comparison of Trevor Lawrence's stats and Daniel Jones's stats, and they're basically the same. Like
Yeah.
Daniel Jones is even a little bit better than him in certain like stats as far as like wins, completion percentage, all that kind of stuff, passing yards, whatever. So yeah, my thing is like I'm not a Trevor Lawrence hater by any means. I think he is a great quarterback. He is definitely the only good quarterback out of that 2021 draft class that we were talking about. But $275 million for that guy,
It's expensive.
and when he hasn't done anything yet, I think he's got that one playoff win when the Chargers blew that lead. Shout out Julio.
No, you didn't. Yeah.
Trashing all the buddies.
Man, Kyle's just
this
going
year.
after all of our friends.
Oh my
Every single
gosh.
one. He's just taking
I'm
pop,
on
pop,
fire
pop, pop,
today.
pop.
I'm next.
Oh, hey.
Don't worry, I'm next.
So yeah, I was gonna say, Wesley, let me let you get in here because I got something waiting on deck here to keep that rolling. So what do
On
you think
deck.
about this?
Well, okay. So what I feel like is this is extremely. It's extreme. It's way too much money for Trevor Lawrence. I think.
Overpaid.
I just think. I think when people think of Trevor Lawrence, they think of him as a really good quarterback. When I feel like he's just a flashy. He's a flashier Daniel Jones. He makes those big bomb plays all the time. He's able to extend plays. I mean, he can be a good quarterback, and I don't think he gets talked about as like Daniel Jones is because he plays for the Jaguars,
Yep.
who aren't normally in the news as often as the Giants. Even though the Giants are a worse team, the Giants are in the news more than the Jaguars are. So nobody really talks about Trevor Lawrence, and I don't see where he's worth 5 years, $275 million. You know what I mean? And then they go ahead and give him $200 million guaranteed and $142 million the day he signed the contract. Like
Yeah.
that's asinine to me. Like I mean maybe I just don't see how the Jaguars could ever get past this, especially if Trevor Lawrence just stays on the same pace that he's at now.
But and to add on to that too, Wesley, like the thing is Trevor Lawrence was good in college, right? He's good at Clemson, and he was good the first couple of years. Probably first year, honestly. I get it. He hasn't had a really good receiver, but it's almost the same thing every year where they obviously improved, right? Like, is it Patrick Peterson or the head coach? What's his
Doug
name?
Peterson.
Doug Peterson, yeah. Yeah, he's done a great job turning that franchise around because now
Don't
they're
talk
kind
about
of
Patrick Peterson around Wesley,
No,
okay? He still
like
gets triggered.
that's my hot button.
he's a great defensive back.
Not for the Steelers, he wasn't. Not for the
He
Steelers.
No,
was
no, he
collecting
wasn't.
that welfare check, baby. But anyway, so like I think he's done a great job, like doing what a coach should do is turn a franchise around and getting him into a winning contentions and to actually win a division. But like you said, man, overpaid and not enough results, right? Like I just
Almost like
can't.
that.
I can't stand. That's what I was about to say. I can't stand players that command this kind of money, but they haven't done anything to prove it. Like, yeah, you've had a winning record for the last 2 years, but what else have you done? Have you gone through the first round of the playoffs? Have you gone through the second? Like, show me why you're worth that kind of money. Because
Yeah.
for me as a franchise owner, if I was a franchise owner, I'm not paying a player that doesn't provide me results, right? Like when we're applying for a job, we're all trying to get into our careers now, and it's like somebody's not going to pay me for mediocre work when I've done just a small amounts, and I think that's what Trevor Lawrence has done. I think he's a great guy. He's, like you said, he's flashy, he's fun to watch, but he hasn't provided any kind of results to say he's worth 275 million, and then to give him 142. Here we go again, man. Like these guys are just making money. I'd take 5 million from that and call it good. But hey, keep commanding these kind of money, and teams will just keep paying it. So
Well, it's like, and I would say Trevor Lawrence, it's definitely at this point, especially, is better than these guys. But, like, look at Russell Wilson, look at Deshaun Watson, and the teams
right,
that paid them and what they're suffering from now. Now, I think Trevor Lawrence is better than them, but, like, I get paying Josh Allen. I get paying Patrick Mahomes. I get paying Justin Herbert.
right.
Like guys that I feel like, even though I feel like, yeah, Justin Herbert hasn't had like the results, but I feel like that it's not his fault. You know what I mean? I know you'd say that as an Oregon guy, Feist, but like I think clearly everybody can see he's a top talent. And so I get, Joe Burrow throw in there. Like I get paying those guys, but Trevor Lawrence is not a $275 million guy yet. Why
Hey,
don't,
man.
like if I'm a team, and I get it because like I think we talked about it, Wes, last week, like with Tua, where, it's just such an important position that you don't want to lose a guy and then be, at a question mark for so long. And that's why those rookie deals, if you can get shit done on those rookie deals, like with Brock Purdy, like that's where you really want to get them done. And then you're worried about having a deal. I'd rather personally, like, especially in the Dolphins situation, I think I like Trevor Lawrence a little bit better. But even if I might, look for a quarterback, I would say, hey, look, I'll pay you 2 years, and pay him 40 something million, maybe near $50 million a year. Like, hey, prove it to me. We got a team. We put a team around you now. Get us to the promised land. If you get us to the promised land, here's your 5 year, $275 million
Yep,
contract.
I
But
agree.
now we're just giving every quarterback the opportunity to reset the market. And speaking of that, after this deal, the next guy possibly to reset the market is
Speaking of
our
subpar.
very own Feisty's favorite quarterback. I read a report that Dak Prescott could be commanding $60 million a year with his new deal. And I saw that the Cowboys said they are making him the priority. So great news for Cowboys fans, or maybe just everybody that hates the Cowboys.
Feist, I'll let you go off on this one. Go.
Dude, let me sound off. Give me 1 sec, okay? Let me sound off, people. This makes absolutely zero sense to me, right? Like, I saw that same report that said that they were gonna go put him in front of CD Lamb, which is proven way better player, Micah Parson, which is commanding the defense. It just does not make sense to me. Like, to me, I'm like, in what world is that going to be okay? Where Dak hasn't done, he's a good player, right? Like, I always give him crap. He's a good quarterback, but for some reason he can't get through the first round of the NFL playoffs. He can't prove himself to stay consistent. Where he's not gonna, you never know if the game driving win, like he's just gonna either throw it to your guy for a touchdown or throw a pick. So like it,
Yeah.
to me, it just doesn't make sense. Why are you doing that to yourself, Jerry Jones? You freaking old retarded dude. Like it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, I'm sorry for my language. That's how pissed off I am that you could have just said, hey, let's wait until he actually proves this year what he can do. Let's see if we can go through the playoffs and actually make it through the playoffs and that first round. And then hopefully we've pushed further that he's proven that he is the guy. But why would you try to give him, like, I know it's not official yet, and the reports have been coming in where they're like, oh, CD Lamb's actually going to be number one on the list, and then Micah, and then Dak. But, like, this kind of report just pisses me off because Dak's not it. He's going to be a great guy for another team, but he's not it for the Cowboys. I just don't know what it is that can get him through that slump, like that hump, that little push to the end where he's getting us to be 12-4, whatever it is, like a good record, a winning record where we're the top 5 team in the past 3 years, right? And so it just doesn't make sense to me. I'm not gonna give this guy $60 million. I'll freaking go play franchise on Madden, freaking trade this guy for a 6th-round pick, dude. Like, that's how pissed I am. Like, until Dak proves himself that he is good, I don't want to pay this guy. And I'm tired of, like, being this optimistic guy of, like, oh, I'm not, and I joke around. I always say, this is our year, this is our year. But at the same time, I'm like, hey, we're doing pretty good. Hey, let's go. Something is working. And then all of a sudden, Dak does something stupid and just throws it to the other team or just chokes out of nowhere. And then you can't blame the defense because the defense, they're studs. So, like, that's my soapbox. But it just makes me so mad that he's commanding 60 a year when he's basically worth 25 a year. Freaking chump. Get through the first round of the playoffs and then talk to me.
See, okay,
Dak?
well, Vice, as a Steelers fan, I'd love to see Dak get signed to the Dallas Cowboys again.
Oh, wouldn't you love that? Oh, wouldn't you love that?
Because I'd love to have this off-season talk every year about how he's not getting past the first round of the playoffs. But no, I mean,
Just end just end this episode, alright, dude. I'm set enough.
No, I think you're right. I mean, Dak hasn't proven that he can get past that first round of the playoff. He's a really good quarterback. He's shown that he's really good. And he just hasn't shown that, especially with the team that Dallas has. Dallas has a killer team,
Yep.
especially these
Both
last
sides.
couple of years. And then it's insane. And I was having this talk with another friend of my dad's because he's a huge Dallas fan too. And I asked him, at what point do you get rid of Dak? He's giving you these 12-4 seasons. He just can't get over the first round. When do you decide to go in a different direction and kind of start maybe looking at rebuilding the team? Because obviously the team as it is can't make it there, even though they're so good and on paper. Yeah, like I said, it just never seems like they can get past this.
Well, I think the perfect way to end this segment is how about them Cowboys, huh? Oh, just being what they always are. Gotta love Jerry Jones as well. Ain't that right, Feist?
Oh, I love it. I would like to not be living it anymore. Like 2016, I probably would have got rid of him. Hey, Wes, I'll answer your question. I would have got rid of him in 2018. If that, I'll give him until 2020, and then I would have said, "See you, dude. This is not working."
There you go. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, from Feisty himself. We're going to end this segment, and on the other side of this break, we're going to talk about a Dallas team that actually can make it to the championship level. So we'll see you guys on the other side. Alrighty, and welcome back. Let's get into the NBA, Feisty, shall we?
Let's do it, man.
All right, so unfortunately we do have some sad news to kind of start it off with. The NBA great, the logo, Jerry West, unfortunately passes away at the age of 86. Man, I mean, he was... It's hard to kind of like encapsulate, if that's even a word, his career. Just because before we were even close to being alive, dude, he was like a 14-time All-Star, multiple-time champion and everything. Like, there's a reason why he's the logo of the NBA, right? And then, not only that, he went on to be like an executive, and he was a 2-time executive of the year. And he worked for the Clippers and I think the Lakers as well a little bit.
Yep.
And he won 9 total championships as both a player and executive. So rest in peace to Jerry West. Thoughts and prayers out to his family for sure. And it's a sad day for the NBA to see that.
Yeah, obviously one of the greatest of all time. Like you said, there's a reason why he's the logo. He changed the game from a player perspective and also as a team personnel, like executive role. So it sucks to see these players, these legends, kind of come towards the end of their life. But there's a lot to celebrate here. I think that's kind of what he would want us to do, is to celebrate his life and the great things he's done for the NBA and this league and for the Lakers organization. And so I just applaud him for all the great things he's done. And like you said, thoughts and prayers out to his family, and hopefully, they are celebrating and everybody's celebrating instead of, kind of being sad about it, because this is a great player, he's a great guy, great person, so it's just sad, but.
Yeah, 100%. I couldn't have said it better myself, Vice. That was very well put.
Yeah, and it's just like one of those things, like people come towards the end of their life. That's the one thing we can't escape. So,
yep.
Like you said, prayers out to his family. Hopefully they're doing well. And then moving on to other news for Lakers fans, JJ Redick. So obviously they know that the UConn coach did not work out.
Dan Hurley, yeah.
Yeah, he ended up taking the UConn job, which I wanted to kind of send off on that because he ended up turning down more money. But JJ Redick actually interviewed for the Lakers head coach over the weekend, and everything's kind of been finalized. He's gone through the whole process, all the interviews. Me personally, I think that this is great. I think JJ Redick is a great-minded basketball player. And now to be a coach, that's insane. To have him and LeBron, like the way you've seen his podcast where they're both kind of like breaking down things, like that's insane to me.
They're great minds, yeah.
Like what, you know what I mean? Like what else are you not gonna notice? These guys are gonna break down the game like no one's business.
Yeah, I mean they're they're definitely special basketball minds for sure. And I know
Yeah,
me and Sean talked about this because, yeah, last time we were on, Dan Hurley had just officially turned down the job. And the Lakers definitely wanted him. And like I say, yeah, we didn't get to have you on last time to get your thoughts on that. But I mean, I kind of like it from Dan. I think what I said is I think it's best for both parties
yeah,
because the college and professional games are just different. And a
yeah,
lot of college coaches that have tried to go into the NBA haven't worked out as well, as even in the NFL as well. Same kind of thing, like just not the same success. They're different sports, and there's
right.
different reasons why you can succeed at either. And yeah, turning down more money is definitely. I know that's why he like considered it, but I think he loves UConn, and obviously they're in the middle of that dynastic run as we talked about.
Yeah,
And then me and Sean were actually talking about this last week with JJ Redick because just like you are, we were both, and he is a big fan of their podcast and JJ Redick in general. Even
yeah,
when JJ Redick was doing his old podcast, I think it's called The Old Man in Three. Like I was loving that. We were loving that, and so I think the downside that you get for JJ Redick is that he hasn't had any coaching experience yet. Like he
right.
hasn't been an assistant coach anywhere and stuff. And so we kind of see, that not work out. But like I think I talked about last week with Jason Kidd, like when he started, he didn't work out at his first couple of teams, but obviously now he's the head coach of the Dallas Mavericks in the finals. But if anybody were to make it successfully from the media route, it would be JJ Redick, I think. Like I think JJ Redick is the best basketball mind that I've seen on sports media,
Yeah,
at the very least. So I think like I don't know. It's hard for me to say like it will work out or it won't. I'm on both sides of it, I think. I think it would be tough. Like maybe it's a safer option to go with, a proven guy, but then at the same time, when you do that, you've hired Frank Vogel, who was quickly out of there. You hired Darvin Ham, who we've already laid into enough on this podcast,
yeah.
and stuff like that. So that's kind of my view on it. I'm
Well,
like, yeah, I could see either side.
and to add on to it too, I think the part that kind of like it kind of makes me question things is there pressure to be a Lakers head coach? Is there pressure to be LeBron's head coach? Because you know how great minded basketball player he is, and he's just I'm sorry for those that I upset, but he is the GOAT in my opinion. That's okay
Yeah,
if most people don't agree. That's okay. I mean, if we all got opinions, but he is the GOAT. He has all the stats, and so it's just for me. It's like it's hard to see this be another like what do you call it? Another news where they're like, is it hard? And I saw this. They were like, is there a pressure to play with LeBron, or I mean, not to play, but to coach LeBron? Is there a pressure to be a
yeah,
Lakers head coach? And to me, I think there is. I think that you need to deliver. That's an organization that's result oriented, and so far they haven't had much results in the last couple of years. And so it almost feels like that 2020 championship that they won, the bubble, like that was kind of a fluke.
yeah.
Like it happened because everybody else was just going through the motion, and so I would like to see them bounce back. I would like to see obviously LeBron win two more championships and tie it up with MJ, and then let's talk about it. But it's just to me, I think that this is going to be a great move. I didn't see that they had any other contenders or candidates for the job.
I haven't seen
Um,
anything either. Yeah,
so it's JJ's now it's JJ's job to lose because that was the headline. It was Dan Hurley's job to lose, and now
right.
it's JJ's turn. So I just have to see what he can do and what as a head coach it's different. But like if Doc Rivers can do it, anybody can do it.
Oh man. Well, Doc was, I think, he was coach before media, and then he should have stayed in media. And then, no, just kidding. We
We
don't need to
like
get
Doc.
into Doc Rivers.
We
Well,
love Doc,
if
but
you might like Doc, I don't know.
I don't mind him. We've given him shiz about it. I think he had a great run
Mm,
with the Celtics, but that was a joke to kind of say, he's been bouncing around so much, and that's what I don't want for a JJ. It's like to be this Lakers thing, to be a tryout, and then not end up working out for him. I'd like to see him be a what's his name, Brad Stevens, the Celtics head
yeah,
coach. Like I would
The
like to
old
see
head
that.
coach. Yeah, he's like he moved up to executive now. It's Joe
Yep.
Mazzulla, but yeah, he
Yeah.
used to be their head coach. Yeah,
Yep.
he
So
great mind. So yeah, I we'll have to see. Like you said, haven't heard really any other names so far. So we'll have to see if Reddick is able to land that job. And I know I'll be very like tuned in to see how that Lakers team goes, especially if he is the head coach. So
yep.
let's move on to our last segment for the news, and that is uh, some more sad news is that Charles Barkley is going to retire from sports broadcasting after next season. Um, he went out and he's been very vocal about how he feels about how TNT is giving up on the NBA. Essentially, got outbid. Then they were going into college and stuff like that. But he did say like it's not about TNT in per se. He said he wouldn't work for another network. Like he's been, I know he's looked at that like a family for the last, I don't know how long it's been. It's probably been around 20 years or something.
Yeah.
But he said he's going to retire no matter what happens next year. He is done. So I know me personally, my favorite clips, NBA wise, always are whatever the hell Charles has to say. I mean, this dude is just the funniest freaking dude, like the most entertaining, genuine guy. Like I think that's why everybody loves Inside the NBA on TNT, just because that whole group is kind of like that, and they
Yep.
have such a great dynamic. So and I would Charles is my favorite of that
Yeah.
group, like for me. So I don't know how you feel, but I'm devastated. Like basketball's not going to be the same without Charles and inside the NBA.
Well, if you remember when I texted you and we were watching the playoffs, I think it was game 2. Do you remember the text I sent you after the game?
The finals, or
Yeah, the finals. I
I
said,
don't.
I'll remind you. I said I hate listening to this ABC crew.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah,
they are
yeah, yeah,
so like they just it's not the same, dude. They just don't. They just sound like a bunch of analysts that should just be on Bleacher Report. Or I don't no disrespect, no
yeah.
disrespect.
The
I couldn't do the
chemistry's
job
not
that they're
there.
doing.
The
Yeah, but the
chemistry's
chemistry's
not
not
there.
there.
Like
It's
to
just
say,
it just
JJ Redick is on that group, but
right.
and he's a great mind. But that ESPN used to have it with like what was it, Mike Green, and then Mark Jackson and Jeff Van
And
Gundy
then
or Steve Van Gundy or one
what's
of
his
the
name?
Van Gundys.
Perkins. I think Perkins was in there too. Or who
Perkins
was
wasn't
it?
on like the calling games. He's on like the pregame shows or like
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry, yeah,
first
yeah, yeah.
take and stuff like that. But yeah, but nobody's had the charisma, the chemistry. I think is what you're alluding to with
Right.
that ESPN
And
group
it's
like
almost seems like they
TNT.
just pick off of each other, and like it's so sad to me that like we're not going to be able to watch basketball on TNT and be able to hear those guys make fun of Kenny. Hey, Kenny running over to the board, like that's one of Kenny's my favorite. Like
Yeah,
him just running to the board, like this old dude just trying to run over there, and then freaking Charles Barkley trying to race him, or Shaq trying to race him over there. Like those are some of my favorite like moments, and it's just so sad to see that this has kind of come to an end. They're all great basketball minded, and then I forget what's the old dude, the white dude, the
Ernie.
Ernie. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
freaking amazing host. Like
Oh
he
yeah.
always lets them go at it, and he always calms things down.
He's the
Like,
best, dude.
what are
And
you gonna
plays
do with
off
him?
him, gives them jokes. Like, remember that? Remember when they were all talking about him? Like, they were all assuming he didn't know who Rick Ross was. And he's like,
Yes,
it's the boss, Rick Ross in Miami. And everybody's like,
yeah, dude.
yo, I was like,
Like they
this is
just have great
awesome.
chemistry together, and it's like that's sad to me that like TNT didn't fight for that because
Yeah,
there's people like me, and I'm sure hundreds of other people where they're like they love that crew. Like they grew up watching that crew. They don't want to watch ABC crew. That crew freaking C team, bro. And you know me, I
dude.
don't like Stephen A. So it's just like so frustrating to like see that TNT didn't put any kind of effort. Now these guys have to
Seriously.
all quit or retire. Like, and that's a lot of people you're just gonna let go of. But like, what's gonna happen?
Well, like every year too that I even before I knew that the TNT was gonna be done, like I would just be kind of like, I wish the TNT had the finals, and I feel
Yep,
like everybody felt that way because
yep.
ESPN, ABC, they've had it forever now. I'm like, I wish that TNT had it. Like they're
Hmm.
better. They're they're so much better at basketball,
Interesting too.
and
They're way more interesting.
yeah, and they're not. I know they're not as big of a company as ESPN and everything, but it just sucks, man. They're just so good. So basketball's been going to be, tough to watch, at least tougher to watch. I know that, and it's kind of been like trending that way. Like I feel like the NFL is trending up and the NBA has been trending down, like as of
Mhm.
recently. And like imagine an NBA, like we know that, I'm sorry, Feist, don't cry, but LeBron's towards the end and he might not be playing in a few years. But but imagine, the NBA without LeBron and without Steph and without NBA, the inside the NBA on TNT. Like, yeah, we got a lot of up and coming young stars. Don't get me wrong. I'll still watch it, but there's just a little bit. It's just not going to be as fun, I think,
It's
for sure.
different to see the people that you grew up in, like,
Hmm.
not be there anymore. I think that's why it's hard for people to accept LeBron as the GOAT, because they grew up watching MJ dominate, and so it's like that
Right.
same thing. I wish I would have got watched. I wish I would have watched the 2000s era, like basketball and real, like, in person and stuff, like to get to see AI and like all these guys just destroy, but I
Yeah.
didn't. And so, like, this is my era and this is what I grew up on. It's just LeBron dominating and all these guys changing the game, Steph Curry changing the game, Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, that Thunder team, like stuff like that. Kind of like it's coming to an end, dude, and it's gonna be different for us to see, because now the next generation is gonna be like, this guy's the go. So I'm looking forward to it. Um, I guess we'll kind of see what ends up happening as far as the next couple years, because LeBron's only got 2 more years. Everybody else probably has a year or 2 or 3 maybe left. So
Right. Yeah. It's definitely a different time for the NBA for sure.
yeah,
But let's move on to what's going on now. We're in the finals, baby, and we are not done. Basketball is not done yet. We will be able to talk about live basketball in our next episode, and we'll get into that a little bit. But let's start. So last time we left, Boston was up 2-0, looking pretty dominant, and I think we recorded it the day before Game 3.
yep,
So Game 3 happened. Obviously, we had talked about Kristaps Porzingis' injury that happened in Game 2, and he was like, I just remember seeing, oh, it's day to day, it's day to day. Kristaps, I'm feeling good. This is this, but he ends up getting ruled out, so he doesn't play Game 3. And like we kind of talked about, like that was going to be important. I know we talked about that in like our keys to Boston winning the series is having Porzingis and having that dominant big man, which he has been, especially in those first 2 games. So I know it's kind of that thing where you feel like Dallas maybe can get back in this series now, and they definitely came out hot. I know in that first quarter, but Boston did what Boston did and kind of came right back, and so it
yep,
was pretty even after one.
yeah. And the thing that is nuts is we talked about like the key things that each team really needed to do to win this series. And it
Hmm.
seemed like Boston executed on every single thing we did. We talked about plus more.
Right.
And then the Mavs did not. Mavs struggled big time, and so I mean, we're not experts, right? We're not the analysis people that like all these guys are. We're just your favorite couch potatoes, where we love watching sports and talking
Yep.
about it. And so we gave in our input on what was needed to happen. And game 2, Porzingis had a great game where he went
Hmm.
off, not necessarily went off, but he just was shooting the lights out, and that gave the Celtics a boost. Drew Holiday went off, and so
Yep.
we said all those things that needed to happen. The Celtics executed. Dallas did not. It's
Right.
kind of what it
And,
comes down to.
and talk about two guys that we said did need to step up that really didn't those first 2 games. Kyrie and Jason Tatum. They
Yep.
both kind of like had their coming out party at least for the finals. And I think we've been talking about like Jason Tatum all playoffs. But the thing is, he doesn't need to go off like, and I think he's even talked about it like he doesn't care about being the number one scorer and stuff. Which I kind of love having that mindset from your number one guy.
Yep.
Um, but they both led scoring in the first half, so that was one big thing that we talked about. I know especially me, was like, I think Jason Tatum's going to need to step up. I think that this will be the time where he does need to, figure it out, but he hadn't yet. But he does, step up here, and yeah, they leave it pretty close at the half, but then Celtics come out on fire at the start of the second half, and I remember just looking. I was looking at the score at one moment. I'm like, this shit's over. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Celtics are gonna go up 3-0, but then Dallas went on that crazy run, bro. They went up 20. They went on a 20-2 run and kind of brought it back. You almost kind of felt like Dallas was gonna get back in that game, huh?
Yeah, and that's kind of one of those things that I felt like I had hope. I've been a Dallas supporter since they beat the Thunder. Like I've been kind of like, oh, dude, this team's good. That duo is good. And when they put that run together and they were actually finally starting to work together, I was like, ooh, uh-oh, you guys are in trouble at this point, Celtics. But the thing with the Celtics, dude, like, bro, it's they have so many weapons to throw at you. Everybody knows what their role is. Everybody executes on it. And even the guys that are doing too well, like I know Jason Tatum had a rough start on the first two games where he wasn't doing really well, and then all of a sudden he just goes off and does what he needs to do. So it's and then there's this been like idea in the media that Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown have beef. They
Hmm.
don't know where that came from. So like it's almost like the media is trying to make something out of nothing to try to keep themselves asserted or inserted into an issue that's there's no issue at all. So like I think that's what I
Right.
kind of appreciated where they're both like we don't have beef. Like we know what we got to do, and that's win a championship. Doesn't matter who's scoring the most points or who's doing what, and that's kind of like the mindset that I've loved and I've seen from the Celtics. Though that duo is working really well. It's kind of been like whose duo is better, and then who has the better supporting cast.
Yeah, and I think that it you can argue the duos, but you can't argue the supporting cast. And I don't
Yeah,
think you can argue it about anybody this season that the Celtics are just the best team, like by far, top to bottom. I mean, they are so deep, and they have so many guys, like we talked about, that can defend Luca and
yep,
that can, shoot the ball. That can, guys like Derek White can, be the guy. Drew Holiday can be the guy, and
yep,
yeah, and stuff like Jason Tatum, Jalen Brown, they don't always have to do it. But in game three, they did. They both went off for 30 points each. And Tatum shows up right at the end of the game, to basically put the series away. Because what ends up happening is, yeah, Boston goes up 3-0. And they win this game. Even with that 22 run, Celtics are able to stay calm, stay poised. I even heard some people talking about like they saw Joe Mazzulla smiling on the sidelines while they were in that 20-2 run. Like he was enjoying it because he's just like a little bit of a psycho. He likes to create a challenge or something like
yeah,
that. But I did want to kind of talk about a report that old Brian Windhorst talked about from ESPN, and he kind of went off on Luca like I've been going off on Luca, but he almost even worse. If you can imagine someone going off on Luca worse than me, he just yeah, he went flat out like saying that his constant criticism of the officials is a distraction and the
yep.
reason for them costing these games and losing these games, as well as calling him a defensive liability that the Celtics are attacking. Like that's why they went at him, got him because yeah, Luca ended
He
up
got
fouling out of this
cooked.
game. Yeah,
Yep.
and
Game two, he got cooked.
mhm,
They love
mhm.
that switch.
Well, and that's the thing is like also too when you're just trying to, you know, bait into all these fouls and stuff, and you're spending. That's what I've been saying, like spending all that time doing that, like instead of just trying to play defense, you're just trying to be a better defender. Like we get that you're not the best, and that's fine. Like obviously you're so much better on the other end of the floor.
Right.
Don't don't argue that, but yeah, you gotta put that to the side, man. Like you're talking about, how we were saying like earlier, like Caitlin Clark, kind of a little bit like that. You know what I mean? But definitely not as much as Luca. And just I think at some point, I've talked about how I'm an official and stuff. At some point, it's not the official's fault.
Yep.
And now officials can have a huge impact on the game. And I'll be the first one to tell you when like they do, or when I made a bad mistake when I ref personally. But it's something that I always see the greatest coaches um, don't blame the officials. Now they might talk to them, they might be angry about a call, they might be this
Right.
that, but at the end of the day, it's about what you do on the court. You know what I mean? The officials, they can't take away the threes you make. They can't, you know, to an extent, they can't make up calls. You know what I mean? Because especially nowadays when we have all the challenges and camera angles everywhere. Like,
Yep.
it's going to be clear if you're making it up. So sorry, yeah, that's just kind of my like. I was like, wow, to see Brian Windhorst go that far, like into criticism on Luca was pretty crazy.
Well, and then he came back. Luca came back and actually apologized to the team. He was like, "I want to apologize to the team. That was my fault that I got fouled out." And oh my gosh, I think I when I was watching Game Two, I or Game Three, Game Three, no Game Two, he pissed me off, dude. The dude was just getting Taysom Tatum was just they would switch on him, blow by him. Anybody they would put on him, blow by him. He
I
just
saw I saw
it
that clip.
was
Did you send me that clip or something? It was like on Instagram. TikTok. I saw something where it was like, no, I think I just saw it on my own, but it was like, all right, we're gonna go through like Luca's place, and it was like, all right, one move, blow by, crossover, blow by, like
yep. It was
frozen,
literally,
this, yeah. Like you're
yeah,
saying, that's what reminded me is you noticed that too.
yeah. It was literally just them switching. He would switch off, which was fine. But you should be able to guard these guys. You have the size on them. You have or the size to match up on them, or you have the size on it. Even Drew Holiday was cooking him, dude. So that was kind of what was frustrating to me. And then just to have him just continue to complain, bro. Just because you complain does not mean you're gonna get a call. Just because you complain, like there are people always. I'm sorry always to bring it back to LeBron, but people complain about how he. I'm not sorry. Just kidding. But like people always complain how he's always complaining at the refs, he's always blah blah blah. But Luca's another level, dude. The dude just wants a call for every single little
Yeah,
thing. And I'm like and the thing that I've noticed with Dallas too, and I was gonna mention this last week, I just wasn't able to. And the thing that the Mavs are doing that's not working is this two-man game. This two-man game does not work. Give them the ball, everybody else get out of the way, or come set a screen. Like it just doesn't work. Westbrook and Paul George tried to do it, did not work.
yeah.
Like
Well,
it
that's what I
just,
think. Like Boston is content with letting Luca do his thing.
yep,
Like you
yep,
play, slow enough or whatever. If you have to ISO a guy, for 20 seconds and then make a three or a two or whatever, we'll take it. We'll
yep.
take it. You know what I
And
mean? We'll take that time away and stuff like that. Yeah.
he just doesn't have the supporting cast that he needs. Kyrie needs to start, contributing to the team, and even then, like Kyrie will hit a tough shot, but dude. Joe Holiday's got him on clamps. I'm sorry for a guy who can is magically gifted with the ball. Drew Holiday's been able to clamp
I
him
remember telling
down.
you that, bro. I told you, Drew Holiday. I think Drew Holiday is a great matchup for Kyrie, even though he said something like he's like, "What?" When he got asked, like, "What's your strategy or what do you do try and guard Kyrie?" and he said, "Pray." You know what I mean? Like just
Yeah,
because Kyrie's that good, but yeah, I think that it's good. And now Kyrie has definitely, like I said, he had a better game three, and then let's move right along to game four, dude. And there's really not much to talk about.
yeah,
So we'll just kind of like just go through it. Like I said, series is not over. We'll have at least one more game to talk about on our next episode because Dallas came out just on fire. I mean, Boston looked like they didn't belong. They didn't look like they were ready to play. They only had 35 points at halftime. They were down 26 at half. At half. And like the game was pretty much over in the second quarter. Like midway through the second quarter, it was like, all right, like Boston's not winning this game. Dallas is, on point. Like you said, the role players were going. Kyrie was going. Luca was, of course, going. Like I can't remember. I kept seeing like Kyrie plus Luca's points or assisted on is more than Boston's entire team has scored, or
right.
something like that. You know what I mean? So they just ended up killing them. I'll just say it. They beat them by 38 points, which was the third largest finals victory in NBA history. So I don't really have any like super big thoughts other than like it's not a great time when you're down 3-0 to come out with a game like that. Like if this was, imagine if they did that in game three, and even if they lose game four, we've seen your boy LeBron James come back from 3-1. So the thing is it's literally never happened in NBA history yet. Now it's not over till it's over. What if we see some kind of crazy run? I don't know. Boston at home in game five is going to be tough, especially after
Yeah,
taking a beating like that. You think they're going to respond, but yeah, any thoughts on Game 4 or going forward
No,
in this
I just
series?
I think what happened was is everybody so they were talking about their bench players. That was the biggest contributor to their success, and that's what they needed finally was those role players to actually do the job that they need to do. Everybody so Jim Hardaway was like 0 points like the first 3 games. And then that fourth game, like he was hitting threes like no other.
Yeah,
Like, and that's what happened. Everybody finally was like, okay, now I actually can do this. And that's what was like interesting to see how they were able to put together a team that actually wanted to compete versus a team that just kind of was already beaten. Um, and I mean that they're gonna have to continue doing that. They got 2 more games if they want to keep this alive. They'll
yeah,
take it game by game, but figure out what you did right that game and mimic it to extremely the same thing because they held them to not even 100, 90, 100 points or whatever it was. And so
84. Yeah, they scored
84, so like not
84
even
points.
90. And this is
Yeah,
a team that's been able to just cook you for 100 points easily. So I want Dallas to win this. I would love to have another history of a 3-0 team coming back, or 3-1, I guess LeBron, but like 3-0 and ending up finishing them. And I I would like to see Celtics win it, but I think I want to see Dallas win it just because I'm a Dallas kind of like guy anyway, and so and I think Kyrie deserves a chip without LeBron, so he can kind of solidify his legacy, and then Luka can make a name for himself. But they're gonna have to work, man. Celtics at home, no
big
chance.
hole, man.
No.
Big hole. And yeah,
So
obviously I'm rooting for Boston especially because nobody will catch me if the Boston Celtics win in our pick'ems. So, but like I said, I even though that's the truth, like I did not want it to be 3-0 because like I still want basketball to go. I still want to have entertaining
yeah,
games to watch, you know what I mean? So, yeah, we can only hope. I mean, I'll get a little nervous if Dallas does end up winning uh game 5, but hey, maybe Boston wins game 6 and then I pick it exactly right and just blow all y'all out of the water and it's not even close in our pick 'em. But
yeah.
yeah, we'll definitely keep you guys updated. Feisty, thanks as always for joining us for both portions and the NBA portion. Love to have you back. We definitely missed you last week, but yeah, like I said, we'll keep you updated on the rest of the finals. Be sure to give us a like, comment, rate, and review on and we are on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and Spotify. So be sure to check us out on those platforms and whatever you enjoy. And then, Feist, any last words for our viewers at home?
Hey man, I'm just excited to be back. Last week was tough. Had some
Yeah,
crazy stuff happening, but thank you for having me as always, guys. This is just the beginning for this project.
yes, sir.
And the off season is going to be crazy, so we're going to bring those news back to you. So love you guys all. Love the support. Continue to support us, man. Like everybody starts somewhere, so we're coming and we're hungry, and so um, yeah, love you guys, man. Appreciate everything.
Yeah, you got me juiced up, man. Let's go. All righty, man.
Let's
Well,
go.
let's go. We will catch you guys next time. See ya.